So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
That wasn't as seamless as I thought it would be. Hello, everyone. This is a new experience, trying to go live. First of all, trying to go live at 11:30 in the day. I'm not quite sure whether that was the best time to pick. I just got really excited and decided that, let's try and go live. It sounds like a bit of crack. Plus, I was bored and I'm full to the brim full of coffee. And I've got new inhalers now as well, so my wheeze won't be as audible on the through the microphone now as well. And I'm dosed up on steroids as well for a recent illness that I had. So if you guys are expecting low energy today, you're in the wrong place. That is for sure. But today, as I say, what better day to try and start to do maybe do some live feeds, live streams. Than today, the 25th anniversary of one of the best. Well, actually, the last time we won a trophy, 25th anniversary, 1996 versus Leeds United, and I think we're going to have two very, very differing stories as to how we spent that day, Paddy, and we will relive how we spent that day over the course of today as well. Guys, don't be shy if you are watching it. I see there's 13, 14, 15 people watching, I think, here at the moment. If you want to leave any comments, we'll share them up on the screen. Any questions you have, anything like that, we'd be absolutely too delighted to answer any questions that you guys have. So whether you're watching it on Twitter, whether you're watching it on YouTube, on Facebook or whatever, pop in a question if you want, and we'll try our best to answer it. There we go. There's the first one, Carl O'Neill. You have the pleasure, Carl, of being the first person who we've ever highlighted as a comment on the podcast. I'm going to get rid of the banner at the bottom because, that's a small bit better. That's a small bit better. So excellent. We've got loads of stuff there. In fairness, David Scott, you are dead right. We won the Intertoto Cup in 2001.
I also count the playoff final as winning a trophy too. We did actually take a trophy out of Wembley.
I suppose. Okay. I stand corrected. I suppose
we call them major trophies.
The Dublin boys are ganging up with me. The boys are ganging up with me here. But yeah, I suppose last major trophy, last trophy that could kind of get us into. Well, then again, you see, I can't say the last trophy that can get us into Europe because the Intertoto Cup got us into the European competition as well. So, you know what I mean. But it was 1996 was. It was one of the finer days I think I ever put down as an Aston Villa fan. I was 11 years of age. That's why I think the two of us are going to have two very differing experiences when we discuss this. I'll let you discuss yours first, and then I'll temper with my experience as well. But what a fantastic run to the cup, to the final that was, that year. It was like we had such a good team, and sometimes I look back at it and I forget how young the team was in a lot of areas in 1996. That you associate a lot of those players with, or you associate that time with maybe, the likes, the transition. What I'm trying to say is the transition from 94 to 96. There was a bit of turnover of player. I suppose number one, yeah. There was a lot of turnover player, and we got a lot younger for the 96 final. We go down through the team there. I had the team. You probably remember it off by heart. I should remember it off by heart.
Well, you start off with the Gabor Karai lookalike for the day. Was Mark Bosnich with his long pants.
Bosnich with the long pants.
I think that was the only time I've ever remembered seeing him in the long pants. We had changed to a back three. Then under Brian Little of Ekiog, Southgate, and God himself.
Yeah, and McGrath.
Two lightning quick wing backs in
Gary Charles and Alan
Wright. And then in front of them we had Ian Taylor, Mark Draper, and Andy Townsend.
Andy Townsend,
absolutely phenomenal that day.
Won and man of the match, if I remember rightly. He was man of the match that day.
Yeah. And then we had a young Savo Milosevic and a relatively young Dwight York up front. And the only disappointing thing from that day, as I remember, was that Steve Staunton didn't play. And Tommy Johnson, who, I'm wearing this was the jersey I wore to the 96 final. Took me a bit of rooting out, and that's why we're a few minutes late today. But anyway, aesthetics are everything, Neil, so we got it done.
I actually got a small bit kind of how do I got to say? I got a small bit kind of nostalgic because I went looking for my jerseys and I went, oh yeah, they're all below my mother's house and I can't go down there because of COVID. And they're all, I know, like they're all in this big, massive, all I described as is a huge Tupperware box. And what I have is I have them all in individually vac packed because I didn't want them to get moldy. They're in the loft, they're in the attic of my mother's house. And I used to treasure all those shirts up until I would say in Martin O'Neill era shirt, I would have had all the shirts and stuff like that. And then I kind of went, yeah, I better get those at some stage because I'm going to want to wear those, So it's and it was actually I went looking for it today, and then I realized I went, oh yeah, they're below Mam's house. So, when this is all over, I'm going to get my treasure trove of jerseys back again. So
I think if today has taught me something, though, I'm going to have to get those individual vac wraps, because mine are all in one. So the minute I open them, I've got to go and vacuum them all again. So, and it's a fine big case full of shorts. So maybe I need to put a bit of time into that. But look, here it is. This is the one I wore. It has Steve Staunton on the back. No surprise to anyone that knows me. The one thing I always hated about this was the collars. The collars used to rise up no matter what you did. Once you lift your arm, the collar would nearly stay up.
Paddy. That was in the era of Eric Cantona. As a kid, 11-year-old kid, the collar was up and it was out and it was covering your ears. It was that high. That's the way you had to wear that jersey. You just weren't cool, Paddy. That's all it was.
The only problem was I wasn't 11 years of age.
See, that's it too. That's it
too. I think Dwight York used to wear them.
He did
up as well.
Collar up. Yeah, absolutely.
I think they annoyed him as much as they did everyone else. But anyway,
I think that year as well in '96, did Liverpool have the big, massive furry muffy type of collar? It was huge collar. Do you remember that one? It was like a lion's mane around. I think that might have been '96 as well for them. It wasn't a good year for collars. It wasn't a good year for collars at all. But you were at the match. I wasn't, obviously.
Yeah. It actually fell between a strange course of events, because if you remember at the time we were doing very, very well. So I was trying to choose between the FA Cup semi-final, which was to come a week later.
Yes. Against Liverpool, was it?
Against Liverpool at Old Trafford, yeah. We had been to, myself and my dad went to the semi-final against Arsenal, the second leg. So sandwiched in that month was the final. And to be honest, when I went to the semi-final, I'd absolutely no plan to be thinking about a final because I didn't think we were going to do it. So myself and my dad went off on the Wednesday, went to Villa Park, had a great day. The match itself was a 0-0 draw. Funnily enough, nobody around us, including ourselves, realised that the away goals counted after the.
I remember that. I remember even the commentators, because I actually listened to that on live 5 Live. Would you believe? Couldn't even get it on TV. Yeah.
And the place just erupted at the end of the game, and there was pitch invasions, and we just realised then that the away goals only counted after 120 minutes. So we had job done. We were actually expecting penalties at that stage, but the job was done, and we were on our way to Wembley. And it was a great night, great celebrations that night. We ended up in a pub in Aston, and I think it was about 3:00 in the morning by the time we eventually got thrown out. It was the first time I'd say I'd been drinking with my dad, especially. Well, I've only ever been to 2 or 3 Villa Man City games with him at Villa Park, and that was the first time we'd had a few drinks together at a game. And we actually continued on up to Manchester on the Thursday to go and see Man City and Newcastle on the Saturday. So it was a good few days, and we met up with some friends of ours come over from Dublin for the weekend. But for me, the euphoria that night was absolutely mental. But what it meant was, because we were already booked to go to the FA Cup semi-final, I kind of had to downsize what I was doing for the Coca-Cola Cup final. So everybody else was flying in and out that day, and it was working out quite expensive. So I flew over the day before, stayed with my uncle, and they all flew back after the game, and I stayed with my uncle and went back on the cheap flight the next day. So I had to cut my cloth to fit, and in fairness, it was around my birthday, and I said to my parents, "Oh, just give me a few quid to get me through these few days," and blah blah blah. Yeah. But so happy that I managed to fit everything in those few weeks. Very memorable few weeks. But the day itself, dull, overcast. Not what you expect for a cup final. You know, you always have this opinion of them being sunny and in May, but it was in March. But it was probably one of the last cup finals that I remember being kind of end to end to start off with. So we all went for hell for leather. It was a decent game up until we scored, and then they didn't put a glove on us after that. No. But yeah, my abiding memory was how well we played that day.
Yeah, and look, as I say, my abiding memory of the match was winning it. Obviously, a lot of my memories of the actual match come from watching it back later on, because at 11, there's only so much you can take in. But this is I had planned this. I don't know, but I don't think I was a devious child, but I needed to have my comfort for this game, and I can kind of relate to this even in these years, but. What I had done was, so I remember I got up real early that morning, and my dad would always be an early riser, and the two of us he got up as well. And I think we were just pottering around the house or whatever. And I can remember that he went out cutting the lawn. And I remember going out, and I remember stopped him halfway through and said, "Hi, can you take me up to the shop so that I can," because we lived very rurally, "take me up to the shop so I can get some treats for the match." And he goes, "Grand job." And I remember I got a big, massive bottle of Sidona, and I got a Yorkie, and I got a big, massive bag of popcorn. And then I went, right, this is, so at the time anyway, like it was a case of, don't tell your mother what you got. And I went, okay, that's fine, I'll keep him behind. But so I hid him inside in the sitting room. And then what I did is, on my way out of the sitting room, which is something that was never there was a key for the sitting room door. And I took it and I put it in my pocket. And then what happened was, said nothing. Coming up to kickoff, maybe about a half an hour before kickoff, I went into the sitting room on my own with nobody in there, closed the door, locked the door from the inside, and sat inside and watched the match in peace and quiet. And I came out then probably full to the brim of love for Aston Villa, sugar rush from the bars of chocolate, and the big bottle of Sidona, because you could be guaranteed I didn't leave a drop inside in the bottle.
I think you better tell our overseas listeners that Sidona isn't actually cider. It's Sidona. It's
an do they not have that? Do they have that overseas? Sidona is an apple flavored drink, is what it is. Yeah. But so it was a good day for me. That was a fantastic day for me. I remember my grandmother actually came over because she knew how excited I was, and she came over. I think I let her into the sitting room, but I wouldn't let anybody else into the sitting room to watch it because I wanted to watch it in peace. Yeah, so that's my abiding memory of that. But I remember Savo. I genuinely, I could have told you straight the next day about Savo Milosevic's goal, and I probably blacked out after that, with excitement, because what a goal that was. 20 minutes into the game, Andy Townsend rather agriculturally wins a ball back in the middle of midfield. I think he basically just fell over and the ball hit off him, and it ended up making its way to Savo Milosevic, who took the ball 15-20 yards and then just pinged it in the back of the net.
I remember being, so for anyone that is lucky to be young enough, never been to the old Wembley, it was as much of a majestic place as you can imagine, but it was an absolutely horrible place to watch a match because you were so far away from the action. It was basically this monster of a stadium that was built around the Greyhound track with a football pitch in the middle. So we were behind the opposite goal that Savo scored into, but we were behind the goal that the subsequent goals were scored into us. So I just remember Savo getting the ball, and I went, oh my God, he's going to shoot. Next minute, the noise was unbelievable.
At the risk of running foul of copyright infringement, I was going to play some video here that I did myself, and I said, you know what, I don't want to get kicked off any of these platforms, but I did take a still shot of one of the videos that we have. Watch how far out Milosevic is when he takes the shot. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, look how far out he is. You know, I don't think maybe El Ghazi takes shots from there. Maybe the odd time John McGinn does. Let me get rid of those things there in the middle of the screen. Let me get rid of these yucks. You know who we are. But like, he just shifts that. Number one, actually, Sava Milosevic, they should bring back the bicycle shorts. There was nothing ever wrong with bicycle shorts. You never see them anymore. Never see them anymore.
And bandanas.
Bandanas, yeah. Bandanas, I'm not as gone on. But look how far out he is. At this stage, he just shifts it with his left foot and then pummels it into the back of the net. Absolutely, it was unstoppable goal. And as I say, I've got a couple of still shots from the actual game itself, just to kind of highlight bits and pieces here. So here's what it looks like from behind the goals when he takes the shot. It's fascinating, like the technique here for somebody who was called Milosevic. You know, the technique here, like, look where he is, perfect technique. Look at that. You know, you look at videos of David Beckham taking free kicks and like perfect stance. Look at it, and then bang, left foot. What you call him, John Lukic. John Lukic had the clue what was happening. It moved every which direction in the air, and it actually goes directly over him when it goes into the back of the net. So Lukic takes about 3 steps to the left-hand side, or to his right-hand side here, and it actually goes over him when it goes into the back of the net. Phenomenal strike, like phenomenal stuff. I think
the if you look back, I had a VHS tape of this, which I played. No, it was VHS, definitely VHS. There's probably a whole group of people going, what is he talking about with a VHS? So it was this tape that you used to record games on. There was nothing digital to save them on and then delete them later. So you got your VHS tape and you wrote on it, do not record over. You watched it. But I remember, I think Brian Moore was the commentator, and he actually mentioned that he was called Milosevic after the goal went in, and it was kind of a redemption kind of thing that he was saying.
Yeah.
But I think without this goal, we might be remembering Milosevic a whole lot differently. But it was an absolutely phenomenal strike. And I think if you look there, I think it's Ian Taylor ran across him.
It is, yeah.
And he would have been obviously true on goal, which probably was the right thing to do. But by God, did he hit it well.
Like, it goes to show, like Ian Taylor, we'll get onto it in a moment because there is a question in there from somebody there with regards to John McGinn. We'll get onto that. We'll talk about we're going to talk about the League Cup first, but we will get onto that. But wow, he hit it and he absolutely smashed that, and it was traveling when it hit the back of the net, and that put us up 1-0 in the 20th minute. And then we kind of coasted into halftime. Things were okay. I remember Gary Charles having a very, very good game actually in this. He did a lot of work up and down the right hand side in this game. But also I remember Alan Wright having a good game as well. Andy Townsend, when we had a midfield three, Andy Townsend played more to the left hand side of that midfield three, if I remember rightly. Did he wear number 11? I'm almost certain he
Townsend
did.
was 11, yeah.
I'm almost certain he was
he
11.
At one stage. He wore 6. No, I think he was 6 at that stage. I think he wore 11 when he came first, and then 6.
I think he was 11 for this game. Just something I just remember him being 11.
We didn't wear any. There was no names on the shirts.
No,
in this game there was all throughout that season. But
yeah,
it was real old school. I think there might have been 1 to 11 actually.
Yeah, I'm nearly certain,
and that could be why he wore number 11. I've no idea.
yeah, I'm almost certain
that
he was
I have
11.
a feeling that Dwight York was wearing 18 at the time, and he wore 10 that day.
Yeah, Dwight York definitely wore 10. Yeah, because I remember when he scored, when he scored, he was definitely wearing 10. But the second goal that we got was some great work down the wing from. It was Townsend. Townsend picked it up in midfield, set Alan Wright down the wing, and Alan Wright got to the byline and did what Alan Wright does and whipped in a great cross. Her ball comes across the goals. Lukic was a small bit suspect at this.
Yeah.
Lukic comes for the back post, but whatever Lukic did, Lucas Radeby did something absolutely insane. And I've got a still shot of it in a moment. I don't know, like literally, it's not how you would defend a cross, but as the ball comes across, who was there at the back post? Only Milosevic. Milosevic gets ahead to it, drops down to Ian Taylor, and Ian Taylor absolutely smashes the laces through it and volleys it straight away into the back of the net. Just for proof.
My recollection is the Radaby knocks it himself. I'm not sure Savo got a touch on it, did he?
It was Radaby, but Savo was getting in there at the back post.
Oh, he was, yeah. Sorry.
But once again, the technique here, you just can't teach that kind of stuff. The way it just drops right onto his instep and he keeps it low, head above it. Just a fantastic shot.
It was a brilliant finish outside of the boot into the side netting on the far side. It's just it's one of those that lives. And to be honest, the 3 goals of that day will live long in the memory. I think everybody remembers each of them. It was an equally as decent strike from Dwight York at the end, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. But I have a still shot here of what Radaby did. And like Radaby, don't get me wrong, Radaby was an absolutely fantastic defender. But Paddy, I know you were a defender in your day. Would you teach kids to, when the ball is coming across the box, to try and bicycle the ball out for a corner at the back post? No, I'm not quite sure that I would do that.
Well, you see, in his defence, if you look at John Lukic's position, John Lukic looked like he came and called and then stopped when he realised he wasn't getting there. He only had that split second to react. Obviously, the right thing to do is try and shield your body and either chest it out for a corner or even just flick it on out for a throw-in or whatever. Yeah. But I think the main thing that happened here was that John Lukic came, called, and didn't continue on.
And continue on, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, but as I say, it was I suppose it's probably all he could do. But then he hold your ground, try and head it. I know Savo is probably there. Savo might even be all over him back in the day. That would probably be given as a free out. If a defender went to do something like that, the ref would probably protect him, and say, must have been pulled back and free out and then no goal. But as I say, Ian Taylor smashed the laces through it and a fantastic goal. Absolutely great goal. That brings us on to the third goal. The third goal was Dwight York. The third goal is Dean has a comment here as well. So Hugo was 6 for this game. Townsend was 11 in the Premier and 6 for the following season. Johnson took his 11 and York took Johnson's 10 for the 96-97 season. Mm-hmm. Deadly stuff, Dean.
I was just looking at it because I pulled out. I have 2 of these, believe it or not, in the attic. This one is Staunton on number 3, but Alan Wright wore 3 that day. Yeah. And actually my other shirt is number 10, but it has Tommy Johnson on it. So that clears all that up, I suppose.
That clears it up, yeah. And Carol also has put in that we beat a good lead side too, featuring your Boa McAllister, Radaby, Brolin, Gary Kelly. Absolutely, we did Gary Speed.
There's a lot there that goes unnoticed. When you look back, like Brolin only made the bench that day. That's how good a side this was. Gary McAllister was one of the best players in the world at the time. In my opinion, he was a majestic player. Tony Yeboah was a fantastic goal scorer. Gary Kelly, great player. Brian Dean
scored the first ever Premier League goal.
They even tried. I forget the young lad's name. Is it Ward?
Ford.
Started the game. Ford.
Mark
Ford. I think they took him off at halftime. I think they thought they were going to have a Graham Fenton effect on the game, but it never happened for them. That was the strangest one of the lot. Was that one? They also had no goalkeeper on the bench, so in the cup matches in them days, you only had 3 substitutes, whereas we had a goalkeeper.
I'll be honest. I'm here, and I'm getting anxious. So they look at the 3 subs in the bench, going, "What the Jesus are we going to do if someone gets injured?" And for all the people out there that don't like Dean Smith not making subs, Brian Little didn't make any subs in this game. I'm only joking. That's
funny because, as I said, the 2 shorts that I had from that season were the 2 players that I loved were on the bench that day, and Tommy Johnson and Steve Staunton. Was the goalkeeper Michael Oakes?
Goalkeeper was Michael Oakes. He was indeed. So we the third goal for me, Paddy, and watching it back is it's all summed up by Mark Draper. So remember when we played Liverpool this year, and what was his name? The left back Callum Rowe slid through an unbelievable slide rule pass to Louis Barry for the goal. When he must have been watching videos of Mark Draper do that in the '96 League Cup final. I have a still shot once again, and to be honest with you, this doesn't do it justice. this really doesn't. I had an even better view of what Radaby was at. Actually, I'm going to show that up just before we go into this. This is what Radaby was at the back post. I still can't get my head around it. I really can't. Like, answers on a postcard, please.
You'd have to wonder, is Savo actually fouling him there? To be in
that's the only thing I can come up with. They took him off. They took Radaby off in 65 minutes. They took him off in the game.
I think that was more chasing the game than anything else.
It was. They brought on Thomas Brolin. They brought on Thomas Brolin, yeah. So, here is the magic of Mark Draper. Criminally underrated player for Aston Villa. And I think maybe,
absolutely,
Mark Draper picks the ball up here and splits the defence with a pass from here. By the way,
as you can see, the one thing that stands out for me there is we're 2-0 up here, and there's only a couple of minutes to go. Mark Draper could have taken that on a little bit more and ran down the clock, but no, he spots Savo doing the running and takes the pass early. Because that's if you watch back this one, the referee actually blends in with us. That's the referee running behind Mark Draper there.
Great to see a referee running these days, isn't it? Running like the good old days, isn't it? Because the referee would be probably at the opposite side of the halfway line here, waiting for the ball to go past him and just moving within that. But anyway, look, we always get on the referees. We leave them alone.
Yeah,
the referee was Robbie Hart as well, by the way.
We didn't have household name referees back in them days,
and he probably didn't get paid a penny for it because he wasn't professional.
Probably. Well, I'm sure he got expenses and stuff, and Jesus, it's an achievement in itself to referee a final at Wembley. So, fair play to him.
So this ball gets played this way, and I think that's Gary Speed over there as the left back. I'm actually almost certain that it is.
I think he did. Yeah.
Gary Kelly was right wing back. So if Draper plays it there, okay, and you know what? I hate these still shots, but they're better than having nothing. And see where Milosevic. This is as the ball is still rolling into Milosevic's path from the pass here. It's just a wicked pass. Look where he is, right on the opposite end. He was right on the edge on the defender on John Pemberton's shoulder, Milosevic. He peels off. Here we have Gary Speed again, but like the movement of the ball there was fantastic. I know it's the perfect ball to play into the channels when you are playing against the back three. I don't think that strikers moved very far out of the central positions in those days. 96, probably even getting into 98, 99 when Henry came was when we saw strikers maybe move out to the wing positions a small bit more. But Milosevic picks up the ball here and he drives towards the box, which to be honest with you, when you look at it, Milosevic, Andy Townsend had such a great game. How Milosevic didn't get man of the match was kind of beyond me because he was involved in absolutely everything. But Milosevic drives in at an angle towards the goals, and then he from the right hand side he drives in at an angle, and I caught a still shot here just as one of the cameramen was taking it looks like there's an explosion in the background for anyone watching it on YouTube. This is where the cameraman was taking a shot or taking a camera, a picture. But Milosevic lays it square to Dwight York, and Dwight York absolutely pummels it in off the crossbar. And
to be fair to Dwight York, that if I'd have saw Milosevic going into that position, I'd have left him off and wouldn't have followed it up, because Milosevic was the kind of guy who didn't think about passing the ball when he got into a goal scoring position.
No,
and
absolutely not.
He was confronted there, and he probably could have got a shot away with it with one movement of the ball maybe, but he chose to roll it back a short enough distance into the path of Dwight York, who absolutely slammed it off the underside of the crossbar, down over the line and back up into the roof of the net.
Yeah.
Fairy tale stuff. None of the goals were poor goals. They were all exciting goals. They were the three types of goals that would get you to fall in love with a football team. It really was. It was one of those days whereby, Villa took the game by the scruff of the neck. They never looked like losing. And you could go in, you could have a boast for once in your life, you could go in and have a boast in school and people would be talking about you. And there was the redemption story from Misalotovic, because I remember everybody would just say that to me, when we'd be playing soccer. Oh, go here, Misalotovic. And I was like, no, I'm Dwight York, not Milosevic. And you'd almost be like, you want to stand up for him, but
it's a case that how will I put it, that when it becomes commonplace in real life, that everybody starts calling them this nickname. It's very hard to kind of stop the rot there. So I remember that when he scored that goal, I went in and puffed up my chest in school. But also to score against like Leeds were a well-supported team in Ireland at the time. Just like ourselves, because of people like Gary Kelly was the golden boy of Irish football. He was the young up and coming right back at that time, and bits and pieces that were going on within the club there as well. So it was good. It was good to get that win. And if you were to have asked me in 1996 as an 11-year-old boy, would I be seeing a lot more cup triumphs? I would have said, well, next year we might just take the league. You never know, and it never transpired. And that's why I'm always a big fan of, no matter what happens, celebrate it, because you never know, things might go up and things might go down. Yeah,
well, as I said to friends of mine last year when they were hemming and hawing over going to Carabao Cup final and the cost, and I was going, it's 25 years since we won this trophy. God knows when you're going to get an opportunity like this again, if you can manage it. Like it's completely different for guys in the UK that just got a train fare and the day out. We've got to put flight, accommodation, match ticket, food, drink, everything into it. So it's an expensive trip, but trip of a lifetime to have this memory and be able to talk about it. I still can't believe. I often see stuff being shared on social media about 1981 and 1982. I go, I wish I was there. And now we're talking about something that's 25 years ago, and I'm going, oh shit, I was there.
Yeah.
Feeling old today.
Yeah. Dean has left in a comment there. Draper was his favourite central midfielder. He was majestic that season and the following. Was called up for England. Yes, he was, but not picked. Mark Draper and Brian Little were just simpatico, I think, even from their time at Leicester as well. He just ran the show for in a Brian Little team. And, when Brian Little left the club, Mark Draper's career kind of went by the wayside as well. But he's somebody I'd love to talk to, because he's he just always comes across as a genuine, down-to-earth kind of guy. And if anybody has any contacts for him and wants to get him in contact with us, I'd love to chat to him, because you see bits and pieces of him. I think he's still involved in football as well, which is really, really cool to see. Dean also put up as well that the whole goal was class. Savo's hold up playing, the best striker I've ever seen, finishing it. Always awesome when they're off the bar. It absolutely is. There's something about, and even the crossbars. Look, once again, I feel like I'm old and dusty, but even the crossbars back then, there was a different sound off them, because the goals were wooden. Even back then, when it hit off the crossbar, it was like a thud as opposed to a clonk. That you kind of hear now. You hear a clonk from the hollow post. There's just something in that as well.
There's something special about we were behind the goal. When you see the ball hit the bar and you go, oh, and you're waiting on it to bounce back up to see it.
Yeah.
And you just see the net bulging up higher than the crossbar. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Alan has said that he remembers the game. He had so much nervous energy in his younger body and couldn't sit down. I was the same. I had nervous energy. I had sugar overload. As I say, I was only 11 when it happened. But one of the finer days, I remember parts of it vividly. I remember my devious plan to commandeer the sitting room. I remember waking up in the morning. I used to have, like, it was one wall in my bedroom. I had all Aston Villa posters over it, and there was one poster that I absolutely loved. And do you know what? I think I might have it at home somewhere. And it was a big feature poster. It was a big, massive one, probably about an A2 size poster. And it was of Ian Taylor, and it like different kind of action shots of Ian Taylor. And I always had to have that in the center of my poster. So every 2 or 3 weeks, I'd take down the posters and I'd rearrange them in different orders. And but Ian Taylor as well always had to be front and center in the middle. I don't know why. I just loved it. I always thought Ian Taylor was fantastic as well. But yeah, I just got a flashback to that there, and I was waking up and I looking over. So remember, I had bunk beds in my room, but there was only me in my room. I had bunk beds in case anyone ever came to stay. And I remember waking up and rolling over and turning around and looking at this wall full of Aston Villa posters. So some things never change. A couple of more comments in there. If you Google Mark Draper, Draper Norton Football Academy, his contacts are on. Dean will have to get you in as our regular private
secretary.
investigator. Yeah, absolutely. Regular and private investigator. Carol pops up. We went to sign the mighty Sassel Churches after that for club record 4 million and Fernando Nelson, if memory serves me well. Yes, we did. I actually thought Fernando Nelson might have been in the squad for this game, but he wasn't. Sassel Churches was a bit of a flop, but he was amazing at Bolton, and I just really don't know what happened there. That's definitely one that we'd want back, the likes of himself, Balaban, countless more. Then back in the day, there were the two, but since then we could do a whole other live stream just naming names that didn't work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that was good days, good times. I suppose looking on there as well, there was one question, and Rich, I'm so sorry, I hope you're still watching, Rich, but Rich, you did have a question here. You want to put it provocatively that what's the matter with John McGinn? Is it form, fitness, coaching tactics? Personally, I like to see him get in the opposition box every chance he gets, or is he just going to be hit and miss at this level? So, Rich, yes. So, is it form? Yes. Is it fitness? No. Is it coaching and tactics?
Yes.
Undecided.
I think so.
I think yes. I think our perception of John McGinn is definitely the coaching and tactics. I agree with you.
Let me put it to you this way: if he wasn't doing what he was told, he'd be taken off.
Yeah.
So it has to be coaching and tactics. He's playing where he's told to play.
Exactly. So if you go on to www.fortheloveofpaulmcgrath.com and you go into the blog section, you'll see I did an analysis of John McGinn. I'm actually going to bring it up. Some shameless plugging here. Talk amongst yourselves, and I'll bring it up. I just because it might even be easier if we were to just show. So the differences in where John McGinn has been asked to play over the course of the 3 seasons he's been with Aston Villa. And I titled this one John McGinn versus John McGinn because he's he's been asked to do 3 different roles in 3 different years. So just give me 2 moments there. Why can't I share this? Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah. So there it is. So I'm just going to scroll down here and just see. So I wanted to just bring up one of the graphics that I have. So here is the heat maps for John McGinn over the last 3 years with the club. So I can't see you can see that there. Okay. Hopefully it's clear enough. So basically in the championship in 18-19, you can see his action areas here where he's more around the field and he was more concentrated within the middle of the field and using a higher press, focusing on that edge of the attacking third. He had less defensive duties and his defensive duties were they were less focused on being directly in front of defence. And also, as you can see there, he's heavily kind of predicated to the right-hand side. Move on to our first year in the Premier League. He is almost solely being asked to play on the right-hand side of that midfield. He was heavily deployed over there. He pressed a lot higher up the field as well. He was tasked with starting the high and standard blocks when defending, and basically, if you look there, he was told go to the center of the field and don't go any further. So you can see that the highlighted red areas there are the concentration of where he played. And now, when we look at his Premier League heat map, as of I think this is the start of March, you can see he's kind of being asked to defend in 4 different quadrants around the field. So it's like as if he's chasing the ball almost in a clockwise formation. Still kind of looking to keep keep a higher press. But what's happening here is he's not getting on the end of the ball anymore. He's been tasked with being a pivot. So himself and Douglas Luiz are being tasked with more of being a pivot. And he's playing almost more as a kind of I'm reluctant to call him an 8. He's almost like a roving 6, if there even is such a thing, because all he's been tasked with more or less just follow the ball and make sure that you're that energy, you're that the energy in midfield to get around. Essentially, what I feel he's doing here is he's doing the work of the attacking central midfielder, i.e. Ross Barkley or whoever is in there in that team. He's doing extra work to compensate from them, while Douglas Luiz stays to a more defensive duties in defense as well. Just some comparisons here as well, just to highlight a couple of them there. He's created less shot creation actions over the course of from last year to this year. His passing is up His passing is up massively this year than it was last year as well. On the defensive side of things, he's had far less tackles in the defensive third of the field, far less tackles in the defensive third of the field. So he's been asked with kind of chasing the ball as opposed to trying to get those tackles in and to win the ball back an awful lot more. So it's one of those things. I think this John McGinn, and I'm just going to stop this sharing here because I'm as I say, you guys can go and you can check it out in greater detail. And for the love of Paul McGrath, for the John McGinn piece, it's a very nuanced it's a very nuanced thing that whereby it is. I don't think it's fitness because he is fit as a fiddle. I think it is to do with tactics, and I think it is to do with the form of the midfield trio in general. Because at the start of the year, this worked perfectly, whereas now it's not working as perfectly because we don't have like the pivot system that we had in the middle of midfield doesn't seem to be working as well. And also, the idea of just getting the ball out to Jack Grealish, obviously we don't have that there at the moment. So this Aston Villa team is difficult to discuss from a tactical point of view. I'm 6 days trying to write a Ross Barkley tactical analysis. I'm 6 days trying to do it. And you know what? Spoiler alert, at the moment I'm at the stage whereby it's just going to, I won't tell you, you guys can read it when it comes out, but it's like he's an enigma, an absolute enigma is all I'll say. But John McGinn has been asked to play 3 different roles in 3 different years. And I think that's super commendable that he's been asked to do that. And he's basically, I think this year, he's sacrificing an awful lot of his statistics. And what we can see in the field, he's sacrificing an awful lot of that for the greater good of just work that needs to be done in the middle of midfield. Was Gary Charles in the squad at that time? Darrow Grady, yes, he was indeed. He was right back. I think this was his finest moment. I think it was shortly after this that there was that maybe he spiraled, unfortunately, but he seems to be back on the straight and narrow again.
Lovely guy, Gary Charles, came over to the end of season due for the Irish Lions back in, it must have been that year, I'd imagine, or the year after.
Yeah.
Really good guy. Himself and Lee Hendry came over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that kind of that's like I thought we'd get about 8 minutes out of this, Paddy, when we decided to be God Live. And look,
I tell you what, the way I'm feeling at the moment, this bloody thing is roasting.
Is it? Yeah, I suppose it was made out of like
kind of wish it was 8 minutes. I put it on obviously, and I came down, and my son Stephen was there, and he was going, "What's going on here?" So I asked him to feel the material, and he's like, "Oh, it's very warm."
Yeah.
Wouldn't fancy playing a match in that one.
It was like the material of an old tablecloth or something like that. It was kind of heavy. It was a heavy. They would have needed it for that day because it was overcast and cold.
It was, yeah. But I don't know whether the camera is good enough there to pick up for anyone that hasn't seen one up close. It was a lovely detail in it. It was a lovely short. As I said, it's very warm. This long sleeve doesn't help, I suppose, on this one. But they had a navy one that season, which was identical, and then a white one with just a slightly different color. But they don't make them like they used to anyway. They make them now to be as cool as you can on the pitch and not to warm you up in the winter.
Exactly. I think that's going to do it, guys. This is our first ever live stream. I don't know. We might come back and do more kind of nuanced ones, shorter ones. We'll see what way it goes, just to create more content. Sometimes it's just difficult to continually just do previews and reviews of shows. So this might be something that we utilize a bit more. Thanks everybody for watching. I think we were up on 20 people watching there at one stage, which may seem small, but for 11:30 on a Wednesday, ain't too bad, to be honest with you. With two fellas talking shite about Sidona and about and about locking themselves into a sitting room, which I'm sure one of my parents would come back and say, you probably only locked the door for like 5 minutes. For me, it feels like I locked it for the whole game, okay? So it's one of those things, that will stick with me. It's my story and I'm sticking to it anyway. Thanks so much, everybody. If you aren't following us, if you aren't subscribing already on YouTube, this is probably where we'll do an awful lot of our live stuff will be on YouTube. This will also be up as a podcast as well. So for those that didn't join in, but as I said, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for your questions as well. You can get me on @LoveMcGrathPod. You can get Paddy on @VillaPaddy. We'll be back again soon. And all that's left to say. You're off for a bottle of cider on it. I think I might go for one as well if I can find it. And all that's left to say, guys, is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.